We're having a conversation. It's a conversation about development and sustainability. Sustainability is the ability to provide for ourselves without depleting the resources for future generations. Nebraska is very fortunate. We have tremendous resources. Our land is rich and fertile. Below it is one of the world's largest supplies of fresh water. Our farms produce crops and livestock that feed people around the world. With our central location, we have easy access to energy and materials. But collectively, we are using our resources in ways that are unsustainable. We need to make some changes in how we do things if we want future generations to have a good quality of life. To understand sustainability in relation to our use of resources, we have to consider how we use resources and how that use has changed through time. Each generation of Nebraskans has seen tremendous change. In the late 1800s, Nebraska was transformed from an open wilderness to farms, ranch land, towns, and cities. Herds of buffalo and elk were replaced by herds of cattle. Homesteaders populated a treeless prairie and channeled the rivers and streams to water their crops. By 1890, more than 1 million people called Nebraska home. Nearly 10 times the population when Nebraska became a state just 23 years earlier. In the 120 years since, nearly 800,000 more have been added to the population. By some estimates, in 2050 we can expect 2.5 million people to call Nebraska home. Beyond that, it's hard to predict, but while the population of the Earth is expected to stabilize, Nebraska's abundance and the competition for resources may mean that the population here will continue to grow. Throughout the time that Nebraska has grown, we've also been able to improve the quality of our life. We've developed better buildings and roads. Technology has made our work more productive. Education has created opportunities, and improvements to healthcare have extended our lives. While human ingenuity may be our greatest resource, there are 5 types of physical resources to consider as we think about sustainability. They are land, water, energy, food, and materials. How do we protect and preserve these resources for future generations, even as we grow and develop? Land, urban, rural, farmland, rangeland, wetland. There isn't going to be any more land created. Water, essential to life. We drink it, bathe in it, and use it to grow crops. Sometimes there's a lot of water. Sometimes just a little. Energy. There's no doubt about it. Energy has transformed the planet. Our buildings, our industry, our communications and infrastructure have grown and changed so dramatically that each generation of Nebraskans have experienced the world anew. Materials. Lumber, steel, concrete, raw materials, and processed goods. Much of it used once, then thrown away. How do we make the most of what we have? Food. Agriculture is a main industry for Nebraska. Far and away our chief economic activity, yet in spite of being an agricultural state, the vast majority of what we eat comes from somewhere else. As free people, we use our resources in the way we see fit, but we have a responsibility too. A responsibility to protect our resources, to respect our neighbors, and not to impinge on their rights. And we have a responsibility to our children and their children that our time on this land doesn't deny to them the benefits and privileges that we take for granted. We have tremendous resources, but there are limits to what we can and should do with the resources we have. The choices we make today have an impact on options that are available to us tomorrow. Sustainability must be the direction of the future. But how do we get there? Now, isn't that a conversation worth having?